So a lot of people use the word workcation to describe a thing where you go away, kind of half vacation, half get some work done. That's not how I define it. For me, for me, a workation is because if you're trying to half do two things, like you're not going to do either thing really well.
Hey everyone, this is Kim O'Neill from the Every Day is a New Day podcast and live show, and you're listening to the Going North podcast with the hilarious Dom Brightman. Be sure to subscribe to his show so you don't miss any episodes, and remember, every day is always a new day.
Today's episode is sponsored by the GoingNorthPodcast.com shop. And if you head over to the wonderful website, cop some merchandise, take a selfie with you rocking the gear, shoot it to yours truly, the host, Dom Brightman at gmail.com, and I will give you a shout out on the show as well, and heck, even tag you on social media as well. So feel free to check out some of the good old merch on GoingNorthPodcastShop.com. Now let's get on with some super special awesome content. And today on the Highlight Reel Builder for Authors, known as GNP, the Great, Glorious, and Glamorous, it's the Going North podcast. We got another super special awesome human for you today. And what makes her super special awesome is that she's a fellow podcast host, y'all. That's right, indeed, a fellow podcast host. Indeed, because this wonderful lady had me on her fabulous podcast earlier this year in Q1 2022. At least at the time that you're hearing this. So if you're hearing this in 2032, then my goodness, we should both be millionaires or closer to billionaires by now. But that's beside the point, because today's guest in particular, not only is she a podcast, though, she's the author of 28 plus books, y'all. That's right, indeed. So she's a few more away from a midlife crisis in terms of number of books published, y'all. And this wonderful lady writes about personal growth through outdoor adventures as well as travel. And now she explores how reconnecting with nature can help us to reconnect with ourselves. So get ready to stick the USB cable back into your body via nature with this fabulous lady right here, the heavenly and wonderful Holly Worton. How you doing today, Holly?
I'm doing really well, thank you. And that was a great introduction.
Oh yeah, my pleasure, D. It's one of the best parts of the show before the rabbit holes appear.
And who knows where they will go.
Oh yeah, that's right indeed, because my usual routine of messing with the guests as a sound check, we were talking about how we're going to be jumping in volcanoes and then rescued by condors, but the condors will take us to Antarctica to chill with some penguins. Yep, that's right indeed. But that won't be
Sounds
happening.
like an adventure to me.
Yeah, exactly. That might be the adventure, all adventure. She might be like, all right, I'm a curmudgeon now. That's too crazy. Like, nope.
I'll just stay at home.
It's like, yep. I'll just have a turtle shell and be in all the rest of my life. That was too crazy. Half roller coasters. You ever been like freaking 5 inches away from lava at the Silver Volcano? Like, that's crazy. Oh, man. But it ain't about volcanoes. It's about the fabulous Hollies. My goodness, as you know, with all introductions, they're not allowed to be 75 days long. And I'm pretty sure I forgot a whole bunch of stuff. And I'm pretty sure you didn't see yourself where you are today at the age of 15. So am I filling in any cavities I may have missed about you?
No, I think you got the overarching description. Yeah. I think that's really interesting what you said, that you don't think I imagine myself where I am today at the age of 15. That's for sure. I mean, my life went so many directions that I never could have guessed, when I was a teenager or even when I was in college. So yeah, it's gone places.
Pun intended. I got you.
Yeah. See, you see the pun in that. I didn't. You're so good with this.
Yeah, I think it's a superpower now to see the puns in almost anything.
I like that. That's good.
That's right indeed. All the puns stay on the bun here. But hey, speaking of buns, so my goodness, so like I'm guessing your original goal was to, hey, be a princess of a castle and maybe have like 5 dogs and then maybe one giant, I don't know, cheetah or something as a pet.
No, not exactly. Yeah, I had really small goals for myself. Like I just wanted to be a teacher and, stay at home. Well, not stay at home, but like I don't know, like my life, my goals, my dreams didn't really go very far. Like I grew up in California, went to college in California, and didn't really think much beyond California until I studied abroad when I was it was my third year of college, studied abroad in Spain, and that was when like my whole perspective opened up. It just broadened as I realized that there was this whole other world out here, and there were so many opportunities, and there were so many things to do, and there's so many places to go, and it was like my mind just kind of went and just completely opened up. I don't know. It was a huge turning point in my life for sure.
Sweet. That's what I'm talking about indeed. Is that what made you want to quit California for good and move over to the UK?
Yeah, actually it was because I loved my year in Spain, and as the year drew to an end, I was just dreading going back, and I started thinking, well, what can I do to get out again? And so I went to Costa Rica to teach English, and then I lived in Mexico for 8 years, and then I lived in Argentina for 5 years, and then I came here to the UK where I've been for the last 11 years. So it was like once I went back to California, I just kept looking for excuses to leave again, and then I haven't lived there since the 90s. So my whole life just took a complete turn.
A turn for the butter. I mean the better. That's right. Oh man. But hey, that just means you took part of the great California exodus 20 years early.
Yeah. I was ahead of the game there.
That's right, Dave. She's a trendsetter, baby. That's right. Trailblazer trendsetter. That's right, indeed. That's right, indeed. That's right, and a trail explorer, too. So, my goodness, I'm guessing after the whole study abroad trip and then find an excuse to leave, it's like, all right, let's make this the permanent home. So, how was the transition?
The transition into all the different countries I've lived in.
Yeah, exactly, because not everybody could do that.
Yeah, do you know that's I was such a like a quiet, shy person. Honestly, as I look back and knowing myself, I don't know how I ever made the decision to move around as much as I did. Honestly, I do not know where I got the courage from, but I went to Spain, had never been there before. This study abroad program that I was on basically they put us up in a hotel for I think 3 or 4 nights and gave us that time to find a place to live before school started. And it was like just throwing you into the fire. And I just remember, getting this newspaper and going around to like all these different places trying to find a place to live. And and I was fine. Like I got through that just fine. I found a place to live. It wasn't great, so I ended up moving after a few months. But I think that was the first time I'd really kind of catapulted myself outside of my comfort zone. And I think once I realized I could do that, I realized I could do other scary things. And so moving to Costa Rica was the same thing. Like I went there, wanted to find a job teaching English, obviously needed to find a job, needed to find a place to live. And I did both of those things in like 3 or 4 days. And then that gave me the courage to do other things. So it was like, I don't know, I think I started to crave those leaps outside of my comfort zone, even though I didn't have the language back then for that. Like, I don't think I realized what I was doing. I just kind of craved those experiences. And it wasn't until 1,000 years later when I trained as a coach that I started kind of speaking that kind of language, like comfort zone and stretching outside of your comfort zone and all that kind of things that like coaches talk about all the time. But back then I didn't have the words for it. I just craved that experience.
Ah, beautiful. That's what I'm talking about, indeed. So, my goodness, I'm guessing the Costa Rica little teaching job led to the wonderful job that you had in Mexico for 8 years, eventually becoming an entrepreneur, I guess.
Kind of, sort of. So I then went to grad school at UCLA and I applied for a scholarship to study abroad. And that's how I first ended up in Mexico. I was going to school at the University of Guadalajara in Western Mexico and lived there for a year. And then met on a trip, met my ex-partner, who was also my business partner, and started my first business in Mexico way back then in 1999. And so that was another big turning point in my life, because I'd never thought of starting a business and being an entrepreneur. I knew nothing about business. That was another situation where I just kind of threw myself into the deep end and just figured out how to tread water and make things work.
Ah, sweet. It sounds like it's a whole series and steps of conquering fear. So would you
Mm.
consider that the scariest thing you've ever done, or is it something scarier that helps you to get that rock solid confidence?
Ooh, the scariest thing I've ever done. No, the scariest thing I have ever done was 10 years later leaving that relationship, which was not a healthy relationship, and just kind of quitting everything I knew and just leaping into the unknown. That was the scariest thing I've ever done.
Woohoo! Taking that leap indeed. Taking that leap
Mm.
indeed. That's right, folks. You ran into the Enchanted Forest, y'all.
Yeah, I wish. It took me a while to get to the Enchanted Forest. There was some like murky places there in the middle where I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know where I'm going. Yeah. So it worked out in the end.
Ah, beautiful. That's what I'm talking about indeed. Well, glad it worked out. So before the enchanting forests appeared and you got in that time of murkiness, what helped you to get through that? Because a lot of folks are probably going through that murky period now where it's like, okay, we had the darn evil year that should not be named 2020. Well, crap named it.
Yeah.
And also, like, it's okay, survive the first year of entrepreneurship. Now I got to pay all these darn business taxes. Like, oh crap, what the heck do I do now? So what helped you to get through that murky period, and that may encourage other folks to get through their murky period.
Well, I changed countries again. That was about when I moved to England. Um, and I trained as a coach, and I had never really entered into the world of personal development or coaching or anything like that. And so I finally kind of broke into that world and started learning all of these techniques and things to kind of improve my life and how to focus on what I do want rather than what I don't want, and how to just work with myself to improve my life and to create the life that I want. A couple of years after that, in 2013, I trained in this technique called Psych K, which is used, it's kind of like NLP. You use it to reprogram your subconscious beliefs. And that was a huge turning point in my life. That was where I learned to look at all the stuff that was going on in my head, look at all the fears, look at the blocks, look at the limiting beliefs, and transform them and do the work to transform them on a daily basis, on a weekly basis. And that really changed my life. That got me out of that dark place, just doing the work with myself and not being afraid to look at the stuff that was in my head.
Sweet. That's what I'm talking about indeed. That's right indeed. Because some folks can get a little afraid. It's like, oh, no, look at the stuff in my head. Let me just
Mm,
veg out in front of this TV and let it stare at me.
yeah. Yeah, but I think sometimes, I mean, that's a coping mechanism, obviously, but I think sometimes that's just what some people need to do until they get to the point where they can work on the stuff. I mean, I don't want to knock people who are in that place. Like that's a very much useful thing, because at least you're distracting yourself from the bad stuff and maybe helping yourself on the road to doing the work. I don't know.
Oh,
It depends.
oh, oh, don't worry. You know. That's right. You know. That's right. You've been somebody's wife before, and the joking signs usually show up as saying, hey, the wife knows everything. I'm just here. Oh, man. But yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So, my goodness. And that's Psych K. Like, that, like, it's kind of interesting because if I'm not mistaken, that's more of a, I guess, a seasoned technique that isn't mentioned as much nowadays, depending on where
Yeah.
you are in parts of the world.
I don't think it's mentioned much anywhere, and I don't know why it's not better known, because it was created in 1984, which was a long time ago. I don't understand how it hasn't become more well known because it's so easy to use. I've trained in NLP. I love NLP. It's great, but it's a bit complicated. And Psych K is totally different, creates the same result, but so much easier. So I don't know why more people don't know about it. It really bothers me because it changed my life so much that I wish everyone knew about it so they could change their lives too if they want to.
Oh yeah, that's right indeed. That's right indeed. And if I'm not mistaken, you probably put some of the techniques you picked up from doing the Psych K in some of your business beliefs books, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, those that my training in Psych K, I worked as a business mindset coach for several years, and that work was the basis for those 4 business mindset books because again, like I struggled with business for so long and I just kept thinking, I need to learn this, I need to learn that, even though I'd already had more than a decade of entrepreneurial experience. It just wasn't working. And it wasn't until I discovered Psych K that I realized it was me that was not working. It was my fears, it was my limiting beliefs, it was I'm not good enough, it was just all that mind junk that gets in the way, and it just absolutely changed my life to start working on that stuff.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm talking about indeed. Working on all that stuff indeed. That's right indeed. Helps you to get out of that zone. So my goodness, so what do you think might be the major cause for a lot of business owners that hold themselves back besides themselves and their mindset?
Besides themselves and their mindset,
Yeah.
um that's a good question because I'm so focused on mindset. Um, just taking the action, people not doing what they know they need to do, whatever that is, whether it's like marketing, because so many people dislike marketing. Um, it's just not doing the stuff that you need to do.
Oh yeah. That's right indeed. That's right indeed. And my goodness, and taking action is what you did. So my goodness, how in the world were you able to get to the point where you penned 28 books? Because you got all sorts of books of revolving around nature and personal growth. And thanks a bunch for reading a few of your books on audio as well. Highly
Oh,
appreciated when
yeah.
the author reads their own book.
Ah, yes. It's such hard work though. That's why I've only done 3 audiobooks. It takes me so long and it's so exhausting. When I first did my first audiobook, which was the book for If Trees Could Talk, I thought, "Oh, well, I'm a podcaster. I know how to do this. I just read the book in a clear voice." It's so I don't know, like, I could only do, like, an hour at a time. It was so exhausting, and so many people are like, "When are you gonna do this audiobook, and when are you gonna do that audiobook?" And I'm just like, "I really don't know because it just wipes me out."
Oh yeah, because it's a freaking performance. Like that's the thing. Like
Yeah.
it's yeah. I've underestimated it myself before, and I'm like, oh crap! Wow, this is wow. All right, well, they weren't kidding about public speaking being the exercise that uses all of your body.
Yeah, yeah. Ugh, yeah. And the worst thing is I do intermittent fasting, so I would have to, like, coordinate my audiobook reading around my fasting because my audiobook editor came back to me one time and he was like, "There's this weird gurgling noise in the background of this chapter. Can you please redo that? I don't know what it is, but." And I was like, "Yeah, I know what that weird gurgling noise is." I'll have a banana and get back to that. God.
That's right, indeed. She's not bananas, y'all.
That was the problem.
That's right, indeed. But it was a good problem to have because my goodness, you've been going metaphorically bananas with all of your interests as well. Because not only did you pen all these fabulous books, you also did the audiobooks, and also I hear you can actually read the Akashic records. So for those who may be curious about that in terms of the magical woo-woo stuff, like how did that interest come about?
Well, I actually don't read the Akashic records. I have friends that do, and they were the ones who got me on the path to writing my tree book. Yeah, so the Akashic records, I've read books about it, and I've kind of dabbled in it, but it's not something that I professionally do. I first heard about it online somewhere, and then I just started reading books about it, and I just became really fascinated by it. So if people don't know what that is, it's very woo woo, as you said. So the concept is that there's this kind of cosmic encyclopedia of you in all of your past, present, and future lives. Obviously, you only have one present life, but your past and future lives as well. And you can supposedly consult these records and get information that you might need to help you with your current situation. So yeah, so that's what it is.
Ah, yeah, that's right indeed. That's right indeed. Well, and speaking of magical reading, heading back to this magical book, If Trees Could Talk, indeed. I'm guessing that's probably your most popular book, if I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken.
Yeah, by far, by far. And I knew that book would be a game changer when I was writing it, but it's really led to so much. It's I mean, I'm still getting like media requests for me to talk about the topic, and I published the book 3 years ago and I still haven't published a follow-up. So so yeah, it's by far my most popular book. It's probably, I would say, not between 90 and 95% of my book sales.
Yeah, no surprise, because, hey, great cover. And of course, the title's
Yeah.
like, hey, the trees could talk, and hey, I have a legendary tree joke. I sometimes pop one, guess if need be. So, yeah, it's a great title indeed. So, my goodness. So, for those who need to pick up that book, what can folks expect from that book?
So, dipping back into the woo woo, I'm a tree communicator. Yeah. You opened the door for me to talk about this. So I'm a tree communicator, which means that I communicate with trees both ways. So I don't just talk to them, but I can hear their messages. And what that book was a collection of messages from 28 trees from around Southeast England. And I was given the idea for the book by a tree that I met in my local area. And from there, it just became a book. The trees gave me the idea for the book, and I just went out to collect the stories. And I honestly didn't know what to expect when I went out to talk to the trees. I didn't know whether they're going to give me like fairy tales or what it was going to be. But they were all very much personal development kind of topics, like how to connect with yourself through connecting with nature, and how to improve your life through connecting with nature. And the trees gave a series of little exercises or things that you could do in nature with trees to improve your life. So it's really a personal development book, but based on nature connection.
Oh, yeah, that's right indeed. Nature Connection indeed. That's right. The Enchanted Forest. That's right. That's right indeed. That's right indeed. So, my goodness, so any plans for exploring more forests with more trees and see if we can get more
Mhm.
conversations?
Yes, so I've been working on a follow-up book because everyone's been asking me for a book on how to talk to trees. So I'm doing that following a similar guideline to what I did with the first book, where I'm actually channeling the messages from trees to write the book, and then writing, my experience around that. So I've been working on that for the last year and a half. I was hoping to have it done by last year. That didn't happen. COVID just really threw a wrench in the works. So I'm not on track with that, but I'm really looking forward to getting back into it and hopefully getting that done by the end of the year, because people have been asking for it. So I really want to deliver it.
There we go. That's right. And there could be asked for that audiobook too.
Yeah. I will definitely do an audiobook for that, because I know people want it. Yeah, I promise. I know I'm saying that because, like, if I don't promise, like, I don't know if it's going to happen. But yeah, I know it's very much needed for that book. So yes,
That's right. And integrity is one of her core values, y'all. So you'll
yes,
definitely be getting that audio book as well, folks. So you get to hear her voice even more after this show, baby. That's what I'm talking about, indeed. That's what I'm talking about, indeed. That's right, indeed. So from eventually growing up and escaping California to the land of the UK and talking to all these wonderful trees and getting these wonderful messages. Like, is there a message that really sticks out to you more than others now that it's been 3 years since you published that book?
Yes. You know, when you first started to ask that question, I was like, I don't know what I'm going to say. And then one specific tree like popped into my head. So that's got to be it. So there's this place in the forest near where I live, within walking distance from my house, it's been like a magnet to me. And before I wrote the book, I just never understood why. I just kept feeling called to this place. And then when I was collecting the stories for the book, I spoke with the trees in this kind of grove, and they were called the grandmothers, or that's what they called themselves. And they gave me this message about personal power. And that's something that I've always personally struggled with, is tapping into that sense of personal power. And the way they described it was really, it just really made sense to me. And yeah, I just love their perspective. So they were saying that personal power is obviously not about like having power over someone, but it's about you feeling that sense of power like a tree, because a tree has that like rooted groundedness, and it just rises, really tall into the air. And that personal power is made up of your sense of self-value and self-esteem and self-worth and self-confidence. And it's made up of all those different facets. And I really liked that message. It just really resonated with me, and it stood out from all the other ones.
Oh, yeah. That's right, indeed. And understandably so. And now we know who your favorite tree is. That's right, indeed.
Oh, don't say that. I feel bad every time. I feel bad every time someone asks me that question, because I'm like, oh, they're all good. I can't really pick.
Don't worry, I love all my children equally. It's okay. They're all the same.
Please don't anyone play this podcast live in a forest. Don't want them to hear that.
Don't worry, it's okay. I was a tree once. Let me stop. Oh, God. That's what I'm talking about, Dave. And understandably so, especially with the personal power, because that's something we all truly, really need to tap into. Heck, that was probably one of Tony Robbins' best-selling programs at one point. It was all about personal power for a reason. It's like, hey, we want to have those metaphorical and for real six-pack abs, and not only just on the wonderful core, but also with the life, like the business and the habits and the life, like want to have it all indeed. So my goodness. And what's also interesting about all the stuff that you do when you talk to the wonderful trees, you also take these wonderful workcations. And I feel like that's not even talked about enough, because some folks may be like, vacation, man, they need one of those. Well, maybe they need a workcation. So for those who may be wondering what the heck is a workcation, how to implement it, any advice for those?
Yes, I love workations. So a lot of people use the word workation to describe a thing where you go away, kind of half vacation, half get some work done. That's not how I define it. For me, for me, a workation is, because if you're trying to half do two things, like you're not going to do either thing really well. So what I do is pretty much once a month since the last, I don't know, 7 years, I go on a workation, and I book a hotel for one night or 2 nights, or I book an Airbnb. Hotels are better because you get kind of an earlier check-in and a later check-out. But I go to the same place every time, and I work on one creative project. So whether that's a book, and that's how I wrote so many books, because I wrote them on workations. And I just hyper focus on this one creative project. It could be redoing my website, or it could be writing a bunch of blog posts, or it could be writing a book or something. But I pick one thing and I do it. And the act of just focusing all my energy on this one project and getting outside of my normal workspace to do it, it's so powerful. And I would love for people to give this a try, because it's just super powerful, and it just gets your creative juices flowing, and it's just so satisfying to come back from a workation and be like, yes, I did this thing, and I have a thing to show because I finished, it's great. I just can't recommend them enough.
Good to know. Good to know indeed. Yeah, cause so right because when you mentioned that in one of those past podcasts, it's like, oh yeah, workcations. Take them at hotels. That's right. You get those bonus points at those
Yeah.
wonderful hotels indeed. Those franchisees, y'all. That's right. That Crown Plaza's at CPs, y'all. That's right.
Yeah. It's great because the more you because if you're doing this on a regular basis, you get those points, and then every once in a while you get a free room. It's like, woo.
Ah, there you go. That's right. Let them compound, y'all. Build up that wonderful brick palace of productivity, y'all. That's right
Yes.
indeed. That's right indeed. And that's really good you're able to hyper focus like that because a lot of folks, they may have the shiny squirrel syndrome. It's like, hey,
Yeah.
hey, I got these walnuts here, but I finally discovered cashews over here.
And that's the thing. Like, if you go to a hotel room, you don't have any of your stuff there to distract you. Like, you don't have any of your books or none of your normal life is theirs. Like, I just take what I need to work on that project. So it's great because you're just easily removing all distractions.
Oh, yeah, that's right indeed. That's right indeed. So, do you think your wonderful time in nature helps you to have that hyper focus superpower?
I think it does. Yeah, because I do get outside a lot. And I think that just really helps me kind of decompress and relax and recharge. And yeah, and I think it really does help, so I can do the things I want to do when I, make the space to do them. So yeah, I think that probably does.
Sweet. So, you heard it from the expert, y'all. Get outside, get some sun in you. That's right. Get a tan. That's right. That's right indeed. Yours truly has a beautiful chocolate tan for a reason, y'all. All that outside stuff. That's right. There are some Hershey's involved with the tan as well. But so since this is far from your first rodeo on the guest side of the game on these podcasts, is there a question that you wish you'd be asked more often?
Oh, oh, that's a good one. No, I don't think so. I don't think like I don't know, like, there's nothing that I'm dying to say that I haven't said before that hasn't come up. So yeah, I can't think of anything.
It's all good. It's all good. That's right. So, did you ever get that black belt in kickboxing yet?
No. So we had COVID, and of course that wasn't happening. And then I injured my shoulder last year, so I didn't grade last year. So now I'm trying to figure out whether I'm going to grade in summer course or the winter course. I don't know, but we shall see. Hopefully this year. Yeah.
Ah, okay, cool, cool, cool. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. And I also heard you run ultra marathons. So, like, how
Yeah.
many have you done?
So I've only actually done one formal race, which was 100K, but I've done a bunch of training runs that were in the ultra marathon length. So I've run a couple like 54K, 57K, that kind of thing. But 100K is the longest I've run.
Oh, okay, cool, cool, cool. Yes, indeed. Because I know of three ultra marathoners, and you're
Mhm.
the second to appear on this podcast done an
Woo!
ultra marathon. Yeah.
They're fun. Lots of time out in nature.
Fun's a word for it, I guess. Yeah, exactly. Folks are like, 100K, shoot. Uh, can I at least get the 5K back and forth from the fridge? Like, oh man, that's what I'm talking about, Dave. So, wait, 20 plans for a future ultra marathon in the future when things open up.
Yeah, so I've actually got a 100-mile race planned for this year. But I'm currently, actually just did a podcast episode about this. It's going to go live in a few weeks. I'm actually at the point where I'm having to like rethink my year, because when I planned this year, I thought, oh, I'll only set two big physical goals, which are get my black belt and run 100 miles. I love how I thought that was going to be like super simple. Now, like, I'm laughing at myself as I say this. So now I'm at the point where like I had this great training plan where I was like, okay, 3 days a week I'm going to go kickboxing training, 3 days a week I'm going to go running, so I bought this 100-mile training plan, and it's basically like my 2 runs during the week are an hour and a half long, which is fun. I can fit that into my schedule, and then my weekend run is like 3 hours long, and then that gets gradually longer from there. But on paper it works really well, but my body's just not dealing with it very well. So I'm at the point where I'm going to have to defer one of those things. So I think, haven't decided yet, but I think I'm going to defer my 100-miler till next year, and focus on my black belt this year, because I just don't have the brain capacity and physical capacity to do both of those things. Those are 2 big goals, and they're, I think, bigger goals than I thought they were when I set them. So here we are. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, everything was good on paper until
Ah.
the classic Mike Tyson quote where everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So true. So true.
Well, sweet. Her legs are a gun show, y'all. That's right indeed. That's right indeed. So we definitely got to have your back going when you're done with the 100-mile next year.
Yeah.
Indeed. So she can talk about the spiritual enlightenment where she has the Buddha belly without the Buddha statue body. Please stop. I'm not sure how that works, but yeah.
That's a new concept.
Oh my goodness. So I guess even though probably not doing the complete plan for both, is there a way that you design your days to really get the most out of them? Because it sounds like you make time for nature, and it sounds like your content creation, unless it's like a heavy project like a book, it seems like it might be done daily for you.
Yeah, actually, so in addition to being a writer, I have a business where I help writers publish their books. So my husband and I have a business where we provide editing services and proofreading and translation. So I've been working on a lot of other people's projects lately. And mine have kind of gone to the back burner. So one of the things that I need to do is like pick up my own creative projects, because I've been doing a ton of translating work lately, from Spanish to English. So yeah, so I really just kind of want to focus on my own stuff once I get back from my backpacking trip.
So she'll be backpacking some heat, y'all. Metaphorically,
Yeah.
of course. That's right indeed. That's right indeed. So sweet. That's what I'm talking about. So does it go both ways? So you get to have Spanish clients and then translate to English? Do you translate English into Spanish?
No, my husband does that because he's a native Spanish speaker. So we're such a good team in terms of translation, because he's a native Spanish speaker, I'm a native English speaker. We both do the translations, and if we ever get stuck on something, we just sit down and have a conversation about it and go, what word would be best here? Would it be this or would it be that? And we kind of discuss it. So we both really like language, and we're both writers, so it's something that we really enjoy.
Well, Team Spanglish go. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about indeed. So, fun question. Been loving to pop on and guess, and since the most popular book that you got out right now is If Trees Could Talk. So, if that wonderful book was a food, what would it be and why?
Oh, what would it be? Um, It would be a salad. Because like the forest, salads have like lots of different plants in it, and it's like light and refreshing, and gives you energy, and I don't know. I always feel so like energized when I go, like, whether it's trail running or hiking or whatever, whenever I'm out in nature. So it's a salad.
Yeah, you're definitely right. Don't play this podcast in the forest, y'all. That's right. That's right indeed. Oh, man. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Didn't get salad as much for that answer yet, so hey, you're in a rare
Oh,
category at the moment. That's right
oh,
indeed.
and I'm not
That's
even a
right.
vegetarian.
That's right, indeed. That's right, indeed. Gotta have that protein.
Yeah.
That's right, indeed. So you got the best salad in all of salads when you're buying this book, y'all. I'm telling you. That's right, indeed. It's good for you. It's good for you. It's healthy. It's inspirational. That's right,
Yep.
indeed. And it comes in more ways than one. So if you
Yep.
don't have or you don't want to make the time to sit down and read, you can always listen while you're on the go, indeed. Especially for the blind folks. Like, hey, this chick's talking to trees. I want to hear. Oh, here we go. All right, cool. Hey, the trees are cool. Woo. Well, we're coming down to the magical question that every guest gets to receive, and that is if you're to wake up tomorrow and you're 25 again, but you're still in 2022 with all of your knowledge and experience, what advice would you give to yourself?
Just go for it. Like, start writing books. I waited so long and I had so much like disbelief in myself. And it took me years to get started. I would say just go for it. Like, start writing now. Because the great thing is, now we have all the technology to self-publish, which we didn't have when I was 25. So just do it. Just write the books. Go for it. Like, everyone's voice is important. Everyone has a different story to tell. Everyone's story is valid.
Woohoo! Sweet. That's right, indeed. That's what I'm talking about. Indeed, everyone's story is valid, y'all. Valid for a book, indeed, y'all. That's right. That's right, indeed. So there you have it, folks. Go for it. That's right, indeed. You don't even have to play Connect 4. Just go for it, y'all. That's right, indeed. That's right. Won't even need the 5-iron golf club. Just go for it, indeed. That's right, indeed. Especially when there's a tiger in the woods. Just go for it. That's right, indeed.
You said that, not me.
But don't worry, it was just a 3-hit pun bow. That's right, indeed. That's right, indeed. Well, for those who need to keep in contact with the fabulous Holly and subscribe to your fabulous show, because you got a boatload of episodes just like yours truly in the multiple of hundreds, what's the best way for folks to do so?
You can head over to my website at hollyworton.com, and that's Holly like the tree, WORTON.com. And I've got my podcast, my blog, books, all my stuff is there.
Woohoo! Well, there you have it, folks. That's right, indeed. That's right, indeed. Join the Forest of Awesome, a.k.a. Holly's email list, and subscribe to all the wonderful stuff that she's doing, y'all. That's right. Join the Enchanted Forest. She's got you covered like a blanket, or better yet, she's got you covered like a wonderful lawn full of leaves in autumn, y'all. That's right. That's right, indeed. With all the colors. That's right, indeed. Since it's 28 books in 28 different colors, it's all the changing colors, indeed, y'all. That's right, indeed. So any parting words before we close up shop, Holly?
Get outdoors. Spend more time in nature. Give it a try. That's it. Yeah. Get outdoors. Go outside.
Thanks a bunch for tuning in and setting aside some of your time to listen to this wonderful podcast, Going North. If you really enjoyed what you heard, do me a solid and share this with your network and someone that you care about that would get something out of it too. And be sure to subscribe to hear more, and heck, even check out the backlog if you would like, because there are hundreds of episodes to choose from, and they just keep getting better and not butter.